Everyone. Today I would like to record a video on an important topic. I actually had debated for some time what I should name this as, because this is very much important whether you are starting your career in IT or you are already a software engineer or developer working in the system. This is going to be very much useful. So let me see what I named it as for now. So it is called differentiate your skills. That is what I named it as. What I mean is, how do you differentiate yourself, right, compared to others at your level? If you are a 5 years experienced developer or 10 years experienced developer, or you are a fresh graduate or postgraduate out of college, planning to start your career in IT. So how do you, comparing with your peers, right, at your level, how do you differentiate yourself? Or how do you get a complete understanding of the developer ecosystem? You can also name this particular topic as a developer ecosystem, because that is what I am going to cover. And I have actually named or listed 15 different items that you must be aware of to differentiate yourself from your peers. And just to set the context, right, in this particular scenario, I may use Python programming language as an example, but most of the time these concepts are applicable to any programming language, be it Java or Golang or .NET, JavaScript, any other programming language that you are aware of. Then it is not just enough for you to learn just one programming language or be good at that particular programming language itself. Considering the competition that we have in the market, currently you are expected to know multiple other things. So let us see what they are. Okay, the first one is use of IDE. Right, it is called Integrated Development Environment. So if you are already using Eclipse or JBuilder, or in case of Python, PyCharm is the popular IDE that is available. IntelliJ IDEA. So those kind of things, if you are already using, that means you already know what is IDE and how to use it. And it is not just use of IDE, but all the plugins or add-ons that comes with it, useful add-ons. So this is essentially useful for your troubleshooting, debugging, and also to increase the productivity while writing your programs. IDE will help in all these aspects. By the way, I am planning to record separate videos on each of these topics individually. So please make sure to follow the channel. I will cover each of them individually, because in one video it is not possible to cover all 15 items. I'm just going to give high-level idea in this particular video, and then we will dive deep into each of the topics in the future videos. So IDE is one thing that you need to know. It is not just enough for you to write a program in a text editor like a TextPad or Notepad or Notepad++. They are not enough. You should be familiar with an IDE. So the next one is use of virtual environment. So this is mostly applicable to programming languages like Python. What is a virtual environment? See, whenever you write a program, there are so many dependencies that you may need. So you might have probably written some statements called import statements, and then using statement if you are writing a .NET program and all. These are like you are making use of external libraries, external packages, and you are going to use those packages or libraries within your program. So you need a lot of dependencies. So when you try to download or install all those dependencies, over a period of time, you might be having all the dependencies sitting in your working environment, be it a laptop or desktop. So instead of having all the dependencies all the time downloaded to your local work environment, the best practice, right, is to create a virtual environment. Virtual environment is an isolated environment which you can create separately, and then you can write some programs where you can independently download all the required libraries, packages and all. And once your work is done, you can actually delete the entire environment along with all the packages and all, which are no more useful to you because you already completed your tasks. So virtual environment is an isolated environment that you can create. So that is something that you need to know, and it is very quick for you to learn also. Once you are familiar with the programming language, it doesn't take much time for you to learn what is virtual environment, how to create a virtual environment, how to work within a virtual environment and all. As I mentioned, I am going to do a separate video on each of these topics, and then I will cover virtual environment as well for Python. So what is next? That is called unit testing and mock tests. Okay, so as a developer, it is not enough for you to write the code and then throw that code over the fence to the other team, QA team and all for testing. You are accountable and responsible, right, to test your own code. How do you test your own code, right? So one of the popular method that is available in any programming language is called unit testing. So where you test your own functions, your own code, and for your objects and all that you are writing, if you need some data and all, you will write mock tests where you can mock some of the objects with some mock data and all. Again, I am going to cover some of these concepts in separate videos, but a lot of unit testing frameworks are available. For example, when you think about Java, you have JUnit, right? And then TestNG is one of the popular framework that is available in Java. Similarly, for Python, .NET also you have PyUnit and then NUnit. Lot of frameworks are available. So you need to know how to test your own code. So that is covering your unit testing and mock testing skills. So that means you not only know the programming, in the first point you also know how to improve your programming quality, how to increase the productivity by using an IDE, and you also know how to follow a best practice of creating virtual environment in the second one. And now you also know unit testing and mock testing. That means you are ensuring that your functionality, the code functionality is working as expected by writing your own unit test, and then there you have code coverage as well as part of the unit test that you can write. But by the way, I mentioned SDET also here because software development engineering testing. So that is something that has picked up in the last couple of years, where QA as a separate function is fading away. There is no separate independent QA team. So you are expected to know much more than just unit testing and also mock testing. You also know, you should know performance testing, security testing. A lot of other aspects are there. So if you can pick up SDET skills, so that will definitely will be a most advantageous for you. The next one is code coverage, as I mentioned. So once you write your unit test, you can run your unit test to see what tests are failing and what tests are passing, so that you can correct any mistakes that you have. But it is not just enough for you to write some unit tests just for the sake of writing. You also need to ensure that your unit test is covering, like the test set of unit tests are covering all the lines of code that you have written. For example, if your code project is having let us say 5,000 lines of code, you should write unit test to cover all 5,000 lines of code. So how do you know that? That is the concept of code coverage. There are again code coverage frameworks available. Jacoco is something that is available in Java, and then Python also has its own code coverage framework, using which you will know how many lines of code is covered by your unit test, how many lines is not covered from the report or output that is going to give you that number, and accordingly you can fix your code to increase the code coverage. So the target is to have almost 100% of the code coverage. At least above 95% or 90% is a good practice to have. So the next one is how you are maintaining your code, right? That is called code repository, SCM, software configuration management aspect. Essentially, this talks about your GitHub repository. If you are using GitHub repository or any Git repository or your Subversion, SVN, right? We also used CVS in the old days, right? Where you are maintaining your code. So it is not just enough for you to write the code and maintain locally on your laptop, because at the end of the day, you are part of a team, right? You need to combine your code with others. So that means you need to know how to collaborate coding with a lot of other folks in your own team, and code repository is something that is going to help you with that. So if you are already using GitHub or any Git repository or any other code repository, then you already know this skill. Otherwise, it is good for you to learn how to use code repository, how to, even if you are not part of a team, right, even as an individual, if you are practicing, it is always good to maintain your code in a code repository system that is accessible from anywhere, because once your code is there online, you can access from anywhere, like the way that you are accessing your Gmail, Google Drive and other systems. So if the code repository is already available online, like github.com for example, it will help you to share your code repository and showcase your work as well with others. So code repository is another good practice that you should know. So the next one is notebooks. This is again specifically for Python, but even for other programming languages, what I mean is without installing any software, right? You should know how to write and compile and run your programs, how to execute your programs. I don't want to install software locally on my laptop. So many online editors are available. So notebooks is such a thing where Jupyter notebooks are available and Google Colab notebooks are available for Python and other programming languages, where you don't need to install anything. You can just go online and then log into your Jupyter Notebook environment, for example, and then start writing and then execute or run the code to see the output. The other advantage is the notebooks are already available always online. That means you can access from anywhere, and you can also share with others. Once it is available online, you can share with others instead of doing like creating a zip file with your local code and all, which is all messy. So using notebooks is another good practice that you should know as a developer. So the next one is linter or linters. We call it as the software programs are called linters. The concept is called linting. Essentially, it is going to help you to check the quality of your code. Are you following coding standards properly? Coding syntax is written properly, and the case, right, whether you are using casing, like whether it's small case, lower case or camel case, whatever is the coding standard, and whether you have any errors in your code and all. The code quality is can be verified essentially by using linters. Again, a lot of popular frameworks are available. So if you know how to check the quality of your code, and also if you can ensure that your code is following coding standards by using linters before even delivering your code or before even committing your code to the centralized repository, that is another advantage and a good practice. The next one is how to debug, troubleshoot, or even profile your own code, right? So debugging, how do you find in case of a problem, how do you debug your entire code? Because my code is having 5,000 lines or 10,000 lines. I don't know from which program or which class this particular error is happening. So if you know how to debug, how to troubleshoot the problems within your own code, and how to do the profiling, that means to check the memory, how much memory your program is taking, your entire code base is consuming, and then what is the performance, right? Performance metrics and all. These are all you can, like JProfiler is available in case of Java, for example. If you already know how to use JProfiler, then that is good. So profiling is another concept. So these are all small concepts which will not take like months for you to pick up, right? You can just pick these skills in days, but they will go a long way in terms of differentiating your skills compared with others, because these are some of the items that generally people miss, right? Even when you go through any training and all, or even as part of the academic, if you are learning some skill, they are not going to cover all these concepts. They will just focus on teaching you Java programming language or teaching you Python programming language, but they will not cover the entire ecosystem. So if you learn these skills, that will definitely help in your career, either to get a job or to move up in the ladder by getting a promotion and all those things. Okay. So the next one is called containerization. So this concept, I think this is again a very popular concept. Probably You might have heard the word DevOps, right? DevOps concepts. Containerization has picked up, and Docker is the most popular containerization platform that is available. So Docker, Kubernetes and all, if you are already using, that means you already know what is containerization. Essentially, with microservices, that is API based programming becoming popular in the last few years, containerization has picked up, where you can deploy your microservices separately in different containers, and then you can manage them properly. You can do the collaboration, coordination. You can call one service from another service. All those things can be managed very easily just with a container. But what is a container and all, if you already know, well and good. Otherwise, I will try to do a separate video again on this topic as well. So just make sure to subscribe and follow the channel. So the next one is, now I know how to perform containerization, but at the end of the day, once you write the program, you are supposed to deliver that code to a production system, or before that maybe you may have a testing environment, you may have staging environment or user acceptance testing environment. Ultimately it goes to production. So for that, it is essential for you to know as a developer, even as a developer, how do you package your code, how do you deploy your code. Again, containerization is one of the concept which will help you to package and deploy your code in some aspect. But as a whole, you should know what are the frameworks that are available, what are the tools that are available, right? If you heard about a word called artifacts, build artifacts, right? Build repository. So probably you know some of these concepts already if you are aware of these things. But otherwise, packaging and deploying to an environment and then be able to replicate that environment with ease. That means once I deploy to a development environment, I don't want to again start from scratch, be able to replicate the same environment in test, same environment in UAT, user acceptance testing, and then ultimately into production. Maybe some environment variables and some configuration parameters may change, but the build package remains the same, right? So it will help you to create multiple environments and then deploy to customers. And also there is a concept of A/B testing. Those things are also available, probably which I will try to cover in the future videos. But packaging and deployment is another concept that you should know as a developer to differentiate your skills. Similarly, the next one is code documentation. So code documentation is again very important, because code maintainability, as you start writing more and more code, from 5,000 lines to 10,000 lines to 20,000 lines of code or even more, because I have seen code with even 100,000 lines of code as well. Multiple people will be writing. It is not just one single person writing all the code, right? You have a lot of team members who are part of your development team. They are also doing software development, and they are also writing programs. And over a period of months or years, the code will increase. Then it is always good practice to know how to document your own code, so that you will understand in the future, like whatever I have written probably today, I may not be able to remember after 6 months or 6 years, right? So forget about me able to understand others' code, right? So here the concept is even others should be able to understand your code. And also there is a concept of API handover. Once I write my APIs, you need to hand over to your consumers or users or clients, whatever you want to call, right? So that they know exactly how to consume your APIs, right? That is also part of code documentation. Again, from an API point of view, for Java, Swagger is one of the popular documentation framework that is available. But again, every programming language has its own way of documenting the code. So you just need to figure it out for whatever programming language that you are working on, how to manage my code documentation, what are the tools and frameworks that are available. So that is another skill that is part of the developer ecosystem. So the next one is cloud platforms, because these days everything is getting deployed to the cloud. right? Whether it is a public cloud or private cloud or hybrid cloud, at the end of the day, everything goes and gets deployed into the cloud. Many companies are no more maintaining their own infrastructure. They are using, even if it is a strict regulatory controlled environments as well, even in the case of finance or healthcare, they are also using private clouds, right? If not public cloud, they are using private cloud. So you should know some fundamentals, right? What are the different types of services that are available? For example, you have infrastructure as service, platform as service, software as service, right? And how the cloud works, and some of the concepts like auto scaling groups, ASG, right? And then how do you recover in case of a failure, right? If the system goes down in one area, how do you recover quickly, right? All those things. They became very easier these days with the adoption of cloud. Again, whether you know AWS or Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud Platform, it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to promote one cloud platform here, but as a concept, you should have a fair understanding of what is cloud and how it works and how do you deploy to cloud environments, how to work with the cloud environment, and some fundamental concepts of cloud. So if you are familiar with those concepts, along with knowing your programming skills, right, whether it is Python, Java, and all, that will again help you to go a long way in your career. So the next one is AI/ML skills. So similar to cloud, which has picked up in the last 6-7 years, AI/ML also became very popular in the last 2 to 3 years, right? So there are multiple, like vibe coding is one of the concept. I have written a separate article on how to use AI/ML in SDLC as part of your software development lifecycle on LinkedIn. You can just go and then check. I will also try to provide the link in the description. So if you can just check for Anand Vemalapati, my name on LinkedIn, you will be able to find the article. But there are different ways in which AI/ML tools or AI/ML skills are being used even as part of SDLC to increase the productivity, to improve the efficiency and all. So it has become kind of mandatory these days to know, even if you don't know what is how to write ML programs and all, what is a model, what kind of algorithms are all those things available. Even if you don't know the fundamentals or all the foundational concepts of machine learning and all, you are expected to know some of the AI/ML tools. Being a developer, as part of the developer ecosystem, what kind of tools are being used and how to make use of those tools to increase the productivity and then to improve the quality of your code, and then to decrease the time to market, right? All those things. So there are some AI/ML tools or skills that you can pick up as a developer also. So you just need to figure out what are those things. Again, I'm going to cover some of this in the future videos. I will probably take up a separate video and then record a video on what kind of skills and tools that are available that will help you as a developer, right? Even as part of ML ops, AI ops, right? Similar to DevOps, probably if you heard these jargons, terminology, AI/ML skills are being used in those areas. So the next one is advanced topics. Okay, this is something that developers, at least not all of them, some of the developers or programmers, they miss these things. There are so many topics that are available, right? When it comes to learning a programming language, it is not just enough for you to learn various structures and usages like conditional statements or for statement, loop statements, classes and all, but you should also need to get complete understanding of advanced topics like design patterns, for example, right? And then DSA is there, like data structures and algorithms, right? DSA concepts, and then object-oriented programming concepts, and probably you may know some of the ways to write a program, deploy the program for a desktop application, but you are also expected to know web development and mobile development also, at least to some extent, right? Even if you are not a mobile developer, for example, what are the different ways in which I can develop mobile applications using the programming knowledge which I am already aware of, right? And it just take you probably 2-3 days for you to learn those skills, pick up those skills, and to get at least high level idea, like deploy a hello world application, for example, right? So these things, and command line arguments. Command line arguments is another powerful concept which is not learned or ignored by many of the programmers. So like that, there are so many. Again, there are 10 or 12 items are there as part of advanced topics. I don't want to go through in detail now because already this video is getting huge. So we'll probably just cover the concepts at a high level, and as I mentioned, I will try to do separate videos on each of these topics as we move forward. So the next one is professional certifications. How do you showcase your skills, right? How someone, the other party, the third party, whoever is your current employer or a prospect employer, how do they validate your skills? So try to get some professional certifications like Oracle certified professional and all in case of Java, right? Python or any other programming language. You have a lot of professional certifications, not certifications given by some independent institutes as part of your training, but internationally recognized professional certifications is what I am talking about here. So if you can achieve those certifications also, that will help you to get the new job quickly if you are looking for or if you are just about to start your career, or even to progress in your career if you are looking for a promotion and then accelerate your career growth. Professional certifications also will help you to go a long way, right? They not only validate your skills, but also will help you to get more confidence, right? Once you prepare the certificate for the certification and write the exam, which is mostly proctored exam. That is why I mentioned about internationally recognized certifications. So you will get a lot of confidence in yourself as well. So these are all the items that I would like to cover. Maybe there may be more topics, but from my experience, right, of 25 years working in the industry, I just thought of capturing these items and then sharing with you all so that we cover the entire ecosystem. And I call myself, right, I call these things as full stack development. Full stack development is not just knowing some front end and then back end service level programming and then database programming. From my point of view, you should know the entire developer ecosystem. So the full stack means the full complete stack, right? It is complete stack means it includes your code documentation, it includes your unit testing frameworks, it includes working with code repositories, it includes how do I create container images, right? It includes how to make use of IDEs, it includes how to use cloud platform, it also includes how do I package and deploy my programs, all these things, whatever that we discussed so far, right? All these concepts, if you know, that is what I consider as a full stack developer, right? So this is the entire developer ecosystem that will help you to differentiate your skills when compared with your peers. So I hope this video was helpful, but just try to do some research on your own, and as I mentioned, I will try to do separate videos on each of these topics. But before we close this video, I would like to share one more point which is very important again, right? What you show matters most than what you know, right? What you show matters the most than what you know, because I don't know what you know unless you show it to me. How do I showcase? Professional certifications is one way, but how do I showcase? What are the other ways? Yeah, you can write LinkedIn articles, you can create some videos and then post it on YouTube, share it on Instagram or Facebook. A lot of social media aspects are available these days. Media channels are available. So these are all the ways. You can just probably attend some webinars, or you can conduct a webinar, or you can probably share some your knowledge in any knowledge sharing session, right? Public speeches. There are so many forums available. So even if I know all these 15 items without being able to do the last one, right? Like showcasing your skills, what you show matters the most than what you know. So all these 15 things will become kind of null or void, right? They will not be, they won't be ignored completely, but if you cannot showcase, then you will not be making much use of all these skills, right? What is the better ways? How do you showcase these skills? That is essentially by using any of these channels like your YouTube videos or LinkedIn articles, or conducting some internal KT sessions for your team, or creating some groups, right, among your own friends, and then start sharing the knowledge with others. That is how you can actually show your skills, showcase your skills. And that's all I want to share for this video. And then I wish you all the best, and I will probably meet you in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye bye.